Intro 0 2 onward. Here is the number that summarizes the entire AI infrastructure conversation nobody is having. $0. That is how much the average production AI agent can move without a human unlocking the transaction. You can deploy a reasoning system that costs $200,000 to build. It can plan, draft, negotiate, research, synthesize, and deliver. The moment it needs to pay $9 for an API renewal, it stops, it waits, it emails a human. The human approves it 2 days later. We spent the last 7 days documenting exactly this failure across every major agent framework, every trending model release, and every infrastructure announcement. What we found is not a model problem. It is not a safety problem. It is a financial layer problem. And it has been hiding in plain sight since the first agent shipped. This video is the full accounting. Section 1. The week that proved the gap. 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Let me walk you through what happened this week because every major story pointed at the same architectural hole. Monday, Claude Opus 5 ships. Anthropic's most capable model yet. Context windows that dwarf GPT-4, reasoning that clears graduate-level benchmarks. Anthropic's CEO describes it as a step change in autonomous capability. Tuesday, the Claude Cookbook drops, hundreds of production patterns, code samples, deployment guides. Not one of them includes a financial primitive. Not one shows you how the agent pays for anything. Wednesday, Toby Knaub publishes his thesis on openweightai. The framing is exact. openweightai is having its Kubernetes moment. Distributed, self-hosted, composable. The comparison holds for compute. It does not hold for payments. Kubernetes gave infrastructure engineers the ability to orchestrate compute anywhere. Nobody shipped the equivalent for agent financial rails. Thursday, DeepSeek pauses its fundraise after a leaked investor transcript reveals their gap on compute relative to US labs. The gap framing becomes the week's dominant infrastructure narrative. Every AI infrastructure company has a gap: compute, memory, reasoning. The payment gap is the one nobody is measuring. Friday, OpenAI's hacking agent goes viral. It probed systems, it chained exploits, it moved laterally across a network it was not authorized to touch. The safety community loses its mind, correctly. But the gap nobody names. The same agent class cannot pay a $9 invoice without a human approving it. It can compromise infrastructure worth millions. It cannot send $9. 7 days, one structural gap, documented from 7 different angles. Section 2. The architectural claim. 6 plus 10 o'clock. Here is the architectural claim, stated plainly. Every AI agent deployment has 4 necessary layers: compute, reasoning, memory, and financial. The first 3 have billion-dollar ecosystems behind them. NVIDIA owns compute. Anthropic and OpenAI compete for reasoning. Pinecone, Weaviate, and a dozen others fight for memory. The financial layer has no equivalent. It does not exist as a composable primitive. What developers do instead is bolt on workarounds. They wire agents to corporate cards through expense management APIs. They build internal approval workflows. They create treasury accounts that a human monitors. None of these approaches scales. All of them reintroduce human bottlenecks into autonomous workflows at the exact moment the agent needs to act. The Kubernetes analogy Toby Knaub used is instructive. Before Kubernetes, teams ran containers with bespoke shell scripts, manual orchestration, and humans watching dashboards. The scripts worked, technically. They did not scale. Kubernetes replaced the scripts with a composable, programmable primitive that infrastructure could build on. Agent payments are at the shell script stage. The Kubernetes equivalent does not exist yet. That is the gap. Section 3. The failure mode. Taxonomy. 10 org, Katama, 1530. We identified 4 distinct failure modes this week. Each one shows up in a different part of the agent workflow. Failure mode 1. The final step break. This is the most common. An agent completes 47 steps of a 48-step workflow. Step 48 requires a payment. The agent stops. A human receives a notification. The human approves the payment, sometimes immediately, sometimes 48 hours later. The entire ROI of the autonomous workflow collapses into a human bottleneck at the last possible moment. Real cost: a $300,000 annual agent deployment that requires human payment approval 40 times per week wastes an estimated 80 hours of human time per month across the approval chain. The agent is not autonomous. It is a very expensive draft maker. Failure mode 2, the multi-currency collapse. An agent sources a contractor in Lagos. The contractor needs payment in Naira equivalent stablecoins. The agent's payment rail assumes dollars and a Stripe-connected bank account. The agent cannot route the payment. A human takes over. The contractor waits 3 to 7 days. That's